Hello and welcome to the Black Cat Bushcraft channel. Today I wanted to have a little discussion on resources. Before I get started on the discussion, I want to give a quick disclaimer that you're probably going to hear what sounds like gunshots in the background of this video. And what it is the farmers have put down devices which are bird scare. Basically every so often it goes off in either a burst or 3-round burst, and it's just supposed to scare the birds and the game away from the crops. And that's on the outskirts of this strip of woods that I'm in. So quick disclaimer, you're going to hear that, and I apologize. I wished I could disable it, but I can't. So anyway, with all that said, let's talk about resources. When I think about resources, I tend to break them down into two different categories: man-made resources and natural resources. Let's start with man-made. When I think about man-made resources, I'm considering the things that I carry with me into the woods, the things that you have with you in your backpack, or the items that you carry with you on your person, in your pockets, your belt knife, your fire kit, or whatever you carry. And there's a lot of consideration that goes into selecting the particular items that you carry. You should really consider what's best and what's going to best serve you in the environment that you're going to operate in, and also based on the tasks that you have to complete while you're out. I'll give you an example that we probably all can relate to where it comes to your belt knife. Let's say that you're going to be doing a lot of fine carving, bushcraft tasks, notching, maybe small game prep, food prep, things like that in camp. Then it doesn't necessarily make sense to carry a 6-inch knife, like a bigger stout blade knife that's really geared more towards chopping and things like making shelters and things like that, whereas that's not really your intent. So it makes sense to carry a 3.5 up to maybe 4.5-inch slimmer knife that would better be suited to the task that you have to complete while you're in the woods. So you have to really think about what it is that you do most of the time and choose the tool that's appropriate. For me, I like to carry that 3.5 to maybe 4.5-inch knife because that's what I tend to do mostly. I also accompany that knife with a small axe of some sort usually, which I can use for those chopping tasks if I need to do so. But again, there's no one right answer because it all depends on your environment and it all depends on what you plan to complete. Another consideration with that knife is maybe you live in a coastal area where you're going to operate in a saltwater environment, and it makes sense to choose stainless steel over carbon steel. So again, these are all things to consider when you choose that resource that you'll carry. Another example, a really good one that we should all be able to relate to, is clothing. I've seen people come out into a cold weather. When I say cold weather, I mean freezing or sub-freezing temperatures, wearing maybe cotton long johns, pair of jeans, cotton Carhartt coat. And I'm not knocking blue jeans or Carhartt coats because I love both of those things, but there's a time and a place for everything. If you're going to be in a cold weather environment, you need to dress in layers, and you want to use the appropriate fabrics, things like a wool base layer, or using fabrics that will help to keep you dry and therefore help to insulate you and keep you warm. On the flip side, if you're going to operate in a hot weather environment, then you also need to choose clothes that are going to keep you comfortable and help you to have a better time when you're in the woods. I'll give you an example. Right now I'm wearing a hat that's completely ventilated at the top, but yet it's brimmed so it does a good job of shading me from the sun. My shirt, for example, is a blended material that does a good job of drying fast, which helps me take advantage of evaporative cooling. It's also vented here in the armpit areas to release heat from those areas where you tend to build the most heat. And it's also vented in the back, so it's comfortable for me, and it's also very comfortable to roll up the sleeves if I want to do so. But if I'm operating where I'm getting beat by the sun, I can roll those sleeves down to cover my skin. So again, choosing the right clothing can make a huge difference in the amount of fun that you have while you're out in the woods, or the amount of enjoyment that you get while you're out. I've seen people come out dressed really well with good clothing with an $8 knife and a cheap backpack and have a great time. I've seen people come out with $300 knives, the best top-of-the-line backpack you can buy, and all the best gear, wearing the wrong clothes for their environment, and have a miserable time and need to leave. So again, choosing the right clothing is probably one of the most critical choices we make before we ever head into the woods. With that said, let's kind of switch over to the natural resources, because we could go on and on talking about different resources that we carry. When you think about the natural world around you, it really can provide you with all of your needs. Let's say we need to make a shelter. We have trees which provide us with wood, and that will help us to construct whatever it is we need to build. Even in that, there's a consideration. Do I use dead wood that's fallen down on the ground, or dead standing wood, or do I want to use green wood? Those are choices that can make a difference. Let's say I'm just making a quick overnight emergency shelter, then maybe deadfall would be fine. It would be easier to collect, quicker to collect, less use of the tools, and it's just for a night or two. Whereas if I want to build like a permanent or semi-permanent type shelter that I'm going to maintain over time, it makes sense to use green wood as it's going to last longer. Also, species of wood makes a huge difference, or species of trees. Let's say that we need to make a fire and we need to build that fire up fast. Maybe it's cold weather and we need to get warmed up, or even in a hot weather environment where we need to disinfect our water fast so that we can get rehydrated. In my area, I go to the pine every time. There's a pine tree right back here behind me that my backpack is hanging on. But pines will provide us with fat wood, which will help us to achieve our ignition faster. It also drops lots of small limbs as the tree grows up. Especially in the case of the white pine, you can get up under those trees and break off small limbs. And they also have resin in them, which lights fast and burns hot. On the flip side, if I'm building my fire for the purpose of cooking food, then I'm going to want to use oak or hickory or harder woods that are going to build up a long sustaining coal bed for me to cook over. So again, understanding those different species of trees and their different properties will help me choose the resource that best fits my need. We can also think about species of plants or trees for the case of wild edibles. Trees can provide you with fruits and nuts and even inner bark that can be edible if you know what to look for. Also, wild edible plants, you definitely need to know the species and know their properties well before you choose to eat something, as eating the wrong thing can obviously make you quite sick or worse. We also consider wild edible plants and trees in the case of making medicines, which is a very important self-reliant skill if you spend much time in the woods. And again, knowing the properties of the plants or the trees that you're going to use, the ones in your areas. Are they more of a cooling plant, or are they warming? Are they acrid? Are they mucilaginous? Or are they astringent? Knowing those properties of those plants or trees can help you to better apply the right medicine for the symptoms that you're experiencing. I'm not going to get into any specifics on that. I do have some videos on that topic, but again, that's an area that you can do tons of research, literally a lifetime of research, to learn those different species, properties, and how to best apply those plants. But again, it's a matter of knowing the resource and understanding how to best use it. Even in a woodland environment, you can often find man-made resources, things like discarded containers, cans, bottles that people left behind, even leftover cordage, fishing line around bodies of water. And these are all resources too. Even though they're man-made, you can source them off the natural environment. So again, the wilderness really does provide us with all our needs. The key is understanding your resources, making the choice for the right resource for the situation that you need it for, and knowing how to best apply it. It's just a matter of time, research, and experience, and that's what this is all about. So I challenge you guys to do your research, to learn how to use all the resources that you have available to you in your area. And I think ultimately when we do this, we're better prepared as a woodsman, hunter, bushcrafter, whatever you consider yourself as, and it will help you to have a better time ultimately in the woods. Even if you're out for just a day trip or an overnighter, or if you're out here for an extended period because you have to be or because you just choose to be, knowing how to use the wild for your advantage will help you again to be more successful and have a better time. I hope this was valuable for you guys. If you have not subscribed, I hope you'll go ahead and click that button now. I hope that you'll ring the bell so that you'll stay notified, because there's more videos to come. I appreciate your time and interest. Take care, and until the next one, God bless.